Okay, hello, hello. Welcome to episode 18. And this one is a combo of like a life update, but also really talking about taking your chance at something and also allowing yourself to change your mind. So, this one is actually quite funny because I had a previous episode talking about an interview that I did, and, you know, essentially how I felt after it and doing something new and putting myself out of my comfort zone. And that is my life update I have for you guys today. And it's just going to be a real and raw story, and also just a permission slip for all of you to just allow yourself to take those chances. So let me backtrack a little bit. So essentially, when I started this coaching business, the main reason I started it was because I ended up getting my own life coach February 2020, and it was such an eye-opening moment for me to realize like how powerful it is and how much it allowed me to let go of so many stories and see myself in such a different light. And just having that allowed me to look at my life in a different way. And because of that, it kind of sparked this fire in me of like, I have these other passions. And it was kind of wild because I was just like, I never thought that I would be an entrepreneur, that I would have a business, let alone two. And here I was in a job that, I was passionate about the work, but I had this like deeper gut feeling that like I was meant to be doing more. And I feel like I had always had that like in me, but I didn't really know what that meant at the time. And I loved supporting my staff in the role that I was, which was a clinical supervisor supporting kids with autism and implementing behavior therapy. And so, I was supporting staff, I was supporting our clients, I was speaking to parents, I was helping and providing behavior support and behavioral strategies. And along the way, I realized as a supervisor, I was supporting my staff through challenging moments and getting to a place where they would open up to me and share their insight on their goals. And sometimes they had lack of confidence in the role. And I was there to really guide them. And as much as I love the clinical aspect in working with our clients, I realized this like fire inside me, this passion I had was really supporting the staff and being able to build their confidence and allow them to see themselves in a whole new way. And I feel like I was coaching them a lot without realizing it. And so that's basically what spurred this idea of maybe I could go into coaching. And then I ended up going to a webinar in my field, and my field is applied behavior analysis. And the webinar was all about self-care for practitioners, and they were using an evidence-based model within behavior analysis, and it's called acceptance and commitment therapy ACT, which I use in my coaching framework. And when I realized this, it was like my two worlds collided, and I just felt so much more inspiration and so excited. And ironically, I ended up doing a mindfulness workshop at my workplace, which came out mainly because we were in the middle of the pandemic and everyone was feeling burnout, and everyone was exhausted and all these things. And so that lit this other fire in me, and I absolutely fell in love with running this workshop. And that's really where I got, combination of understanding ACT is something that really allows us to look at our mindset and our thoughts and how they dictate our behaviors. And so combining my background with like behavior change and behavior analysis in a way that I can really support people into understanding how to really transform their lives and navigating that, utilizing acceptance and commitment therapy, all these beautiful evidence-based tools to work through their mindset and limiting beliefs and really step into their values and how to embody that in their day-to-day. And it just blew my mind, and I was so excited. And so, that is essentially what birthed my coaching business in the summer of 2020. And I just went wow, full throttle into that. And, so one, actually, this is just a cool reflection on my end, to speak to you guys about, but like back then I never thought that could be a thing for me. And then these things just unfolded in this way. And that's my point one to say, like, you can change your mind. If you start to feel an inkling of different desires, it's okay for you to change into and step into really a, a different version of yourself. And I feel like a lot of the time we get so caught up in, but I'm this kind of person, or everyone perceives me to be this way, or like for me to take on the label of a coach. Like I remember at first I was embarrassed. I felt awkward about it. I didn't feel confident telling people about it. And a lot of people were confused to be like, oh, like, what does it mean to be a coach? And, it's it takes time and it's a process. And I think the number one component about this is that permission slip to be like, if you have this gut feeling, if you have this like intuitive nudge and you're just like, I desire something different in my life that, like, one, I may have never thought that I would actually do, but also realizing like there is so much more in me that I desire, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And we're like multifaceted human beings. And I also just want to, like, shed this idea that culture likes to, or not culture, but like society tends to say is that, like, you pick a job and you stick with it. And this is very much like the baby boomer era where it's like you pick one job and you work at it for 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, and that's you. And we're very much no longer in that era. Like now in our era we've got like TikTok kids that are so famous, and like they're like 15, 16, and it's like everyone has all these ambitions, and there's ambitions. Wow, I can't speak today, guys. And like influencers and social media has a huge impact on that, and how everybody is deciding to start side hustles and step into these other versions of themselves and other ideas and passions. And I think it's such a beautiful thing. And I think a lot of us can get so overwhelmed by that at the same time of being like, is that possible? Is that okay? Like, if you've been in a job for 5, 10 years and you're like, I also really love making jewelry, or I also really love, you know, doing something else on the side. And I just want to say, you do you, boo. Like, there are so many avenues that we can go down to really just give ourselves that space to explore and experiment in our life. So that's what I did. And so, I started summer 2020. I was still in my full-time job. And so essentially September to December of 2020, we were back at work. It was no longer online, virtual, and I was doing my coaching business while working 5 days. And so literally from September to December, I remember like I remember thinking like coaching. I was so excited to do coaching on Saturday, Sunday, because I was like, oh my God, like those are my coaching days. And so I was working 7 days a week for those 4 months. And I made the big leap to quit from my 9 to 5. And then January 2021 was when I went full time in my coaching business. And I say all this because I've had such an evolution over the past 2 years. Like, just as I'm reflecting, I'm just like, holy cannoli, there's so many changes and so much growth and so much expansion and so many failures and so many struggles and so many mistakes and so many beautiful moments and so many amazing transformations. And like so many things that I have gone through that have led me to where I am today. And when I left that 9 to 5, I was like so gung ho about the coaching space. I was like, peace out, other job. Like, I am going to be a full time coach. I'm so excited for this. Let's do it. And I did that. And, it wasn't until a few months later that there was, I mean, running a business on its own full time is a lot. And there's definitely going to be, it's a roller coaster ride being an entrepreneur. And so I really had to reassess and be like, okay, I was really thinking, so in my, what my main education is I'm a board certified behavior analyst, a BCBA, and with that distinction, I can do consulting, I can, work with agencies, I could do a bunch of different things, and I just remember at the time I was like, I needed a break from it, but then after a few months later, I was like, I actually love being a BCBA. I love supporting kids with varying needs and supporting families and providing strategies, and I love doing that role, and so I think there's just multiple lessons in this whole life update chat with you all, and I'm bringing you along the ride as I reflect, is that, like, we can have moments where we're like, "I'm done with that thing, peace out." Give ourselves a few months, a year, whatever, and this is also just maybe this is just an episode of permission slips, but I would say my second permission slip is, like, you can change your mind. Like, you can say, like, "Peace out" to whatever that thing was and take a break from it, and who knows, in a few months, in a year, whatever, you might be like, "Hey, I actually have a great idea about going back to that and doing it in this way, in this role, in this context," and it's okay to go back to something. Like, there's nothing wrong with that, and so for me, I was like, "Okay, I really love this. What does that look like for me now?" Like, if I wanna do it on my own terms in a self-employed way, being a behavior consultant, what does that look like? And that was a whole other ballgame and a whole other world for me, and so that is my second business, and so I had to get all this different kinds of insurance and, apply for applications for different, to be certified as a clinical supervisor independently, and there was all these different hoops to go through, and, through that, once again, it was a whole new journey, and I've just been allowing myself to test the waters and see what I like, and so, basically, since, like, March 2021, I've been navigating 2 businesses and essentially being I feel like it was more 60/40, like 60 coaching, 40 my second business as a BCBA, and it was really this moment to get this new experience as a BCBA, being an independent contractor and, like, consulting and doing something different, and allowing myself, once again, that space to, like, experiment and see what I like, and this comes to my final big new update, 13 minutes in to this episode, is that in the summer of this year, I was really looking ahead, and I was like, I am really desiring to make an impact on a larger scale in both my businesses as a coach and as a BCBA. Like, I truly love the teaching component and the mentoring and that support piece. And so, in the summer, I really reassessed my consulting role as a BCBA, and I was like, I want to help more people. I want to support educators and more families and students and even do trainings and professional development. Like, I was really wanting to expand in that role, and so I actually ended up having, like, a Zoom chat with a another BCBA, and she was telling me about how she worked in the school board, and I don't know, it just clicked. Like, I didn't even think about it as an option, and it just clicked, and the way she spoke on it was just, like, I got so lit up about it, and I, like, walked out of that call being like, "Oh my gosh, working in the school board would be an amazing way for me to support educators, support other staff in understanding behavioral strategies, and to support so many students in so many different schools, and having that, like, professional development piece too, and, like, school board and education systems, like, that is where, like, it's such a big component of all of our lives, right? And so this was something where in the summer, I had this big idea and this thought, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, okay, what does this mean?" Like, it was a big thought, it was exciting, and then it kinda sunk in, and then I was like, "Oh my gosh, does this mean I'm a failure as a coach, that I want to go back into a full-time job? What does this look like as, me being an entrepreneur?" And, like, are people going to judge me? And like, there's definitely a lot of overwhelming thoughts of just like, what does this mean about who I am if I, not to say I'm leaving the entrepreneurial space, but like I am going back into quote unquote like a 9 to 5. And it was a process for me to move through. And I had a lot of support at the time. And so it was just really beautiful because I was in a space where other entrepreneurs were thinking about full-time jobs. And so that kind of allowed me to release the pressure of, thinking people are going to judge that or that it's a bad thing. And it's not, right? And that's, I feel like the reoccurring theme is like, no matter what you choose and no matter what passion fuels you and gets you excited, like it is so okay to make that decision for yourself and say yes to that and try that out. And as I keep saying, like experiment, see what you like with it and try it out, right? So needless to say, now going back to my very first point at the beginning of this episode, where I had an interview in October for the school board. And I mean, a part of this episode is not to talk about that experience specifically. Um, but I'll just touch on that, is like I walked out of that interview being like, I I don't know how well that interview went, but at the same time it was like a new experience, new kinds of questions. I have not worked in the school board before. But I always just go back to like, I was honest, I was clear. And, sometimes we may go into something. And I went into that with a level head and prepared and did my best. And to me, that's what mattered. And I gained so much experience and knowledge from that interview. And so fast forward, I would like to officially say, oh, this is like, I love that. I just need to pause that I absolutely love having this container and space with all of you that I can just like share these exciting things. Like we're girlfriends or, friends, just really having a coffee chat and me sharing this exciting things with you. But yes, I would like to say I got the job and I was just like absolutely speechless and so excited. Like I feel like I could cry. I'm like shaking right now. Um, but yeah, so I cannot tell you how excited I am to experience this entirely new role and support on a larger scale. And I feel like it is so fulfilling my vision and passion as a BCBA. But what I love about this is that I feel like this is also going to fuel my excitement and my passion within my coaching business. Like I feel like there's going to be so many intricate ways that it's going to integrate and support my coaching business. So I just want to say, all of you here, my coaching business is not going anywhere. If you want support, I got you. I've got one-on-one, I've got a brand new 12-month mentorship, which is like a collective, and it's basically like a membership. And I'm so excited for it. And so I'm still going to be here. My offers are still going to be here. Things might look a little different, but I'm not going anywhere around here. And I'm just so excited to take you guys along the ride. So, as this episode comes out, actually, I am so excited to say that, like today, Monday, December, oh my gosh, what is it? 12th? Yeah. Oh my gosh. Sorry. I'm recording this on Friday, December 9th. So on Monday, today is my first day in this role. And I am just so excited. And it's, I'm sure there's going to be like challenging things, new things, like it's going to be something to get familiar with. But I just wanted this whole message of this episode to be, you get to change your mind throughout your life, throughout the seasons that you go through. If you want to make changes in your life, like you get to be the creator of your reality. So you get to be the person to make those decisions, no matter how crazy and wild and like, you know, outlandish that they might sound to somebody else, does not mean that it is not possible for you. And I say that because I honestly didn't even know what was possible for me when I thought about a full-time job and going into this whole new level and experience. And so I'm just really excited to take you guys along the ride. And so this message in this episode is half a life update to just keep you guys in the loop. And another is just to really say you can go after your dreams if you have like a deeper desire and a deeper passion. Like my mission is to support on a larger scale, and I wanted to find a way to do that. And I ended up just falling into conversations with people that led me to this place and gave me a newfound level of information to support that vision. And I went for it and I took that leap and I applied to a bunch of jobs and it happened and it's here. Like today is my first day in this job. And so I am just so looking forward to sharing all of the intricate ways that I will be continuing to support you all in this beautiful community, as well as just, yeah, take you on the ride of what this new transition is going to look like for myself and all the new habits I'm going to be navigating. And actually, there's something called habit discontinuity, which means it is actually when you have a big life change, that is actually a more effective way to start new habits, actually. So, a lot of the time, we think that starting if we have a massive change in our lives, if we have a big move, if we change jobs, things like that, we think that that's not a good time to, start new habits or, invest in ourselves or things like that. But it's actually in the research, it says that that is actually a more successful time to start something new, which in hindsight does make sense because when you think about it, like it's a fresh start on all fronts, right? Like if you start a brand new job and you're gonna have an entirely brand new schedule, why not take that time to tackle a new habit at that same time of like what you want to desire? You can start everything fresh together. And on that note, if you've been thinking about coaching and you're like, my life, there's so many things going on, like that is actually one of the best times. So I would highly encourage you to really think about what you would want to do in your life as a whole, what types of passions that you're really desiring. And if you're like, oh, I feel stuck, or I'm not even too sure, or I don't know what all of this looks like, look into coaching. Come join, like, let's book a free consultation call. Let's chat. Send me a DM and you're like, "I'm not too sure, like, I've got these things." Like, I am here to chat and see, like, what would be a best fit for you if that is something that you are desiring. And, my whole takeaway message here is allow yourself to look at your life, and if you have a desire to do something different, there's nothing wrong with that, and you get to change your mind. There is nothing wrong with changing your mind. I might go into the school board and be like, "I don't know, this is not what I thought," and, I can make decisions based off of the experiences I have and what I go through, right? Um, Granted, I think I'm gonna absolutely love the job. I mean, I'm so excited. But, you never know. So many things can be uncertain in life and unfamiliar. And that's almost the more reason to take that leap and figure out what works for you, what doesn't, what lights you up, what doesn't. If something doesn't light you up, you can let it go. Like you don't need to hold on to that identity or that version of yourself if it no longer feels aligned. So, this is just my beautiful takeaway to say, you do you. I'm like here cheering you on every step of the way. Like, whatever the heck you desire, and if you think it's crazy, go for it. If you think it's outlandish and insane, go for it. Like, I am here for the massive expansion and, like, saying yes to things and allowing yourself that space to be like, "You know what? I'm gonna try something new." And that is what I have for you today, and just my real raw truth and update. And I love you all so, so much. And please, if this resonated in any way, like send me a DM. I'd love to chat. And yeah, if you're going through a big transition for yourself too, hit me up. Let's chat. I will probably be sharing a lot more tips as I navigate a new schedule and what that looks like with my routine and all the juicy insights. So I hope this was helpful for you, and I will chat with you guys next week.